Good evening, folks. I'm Dale Seymour. I was one of the 2013 honorees. I come here with a heavy heart. This is like the old Miss America giving away the crown, you know? So, they asked me to do a one-line introduction. They actually gave me a script. I'm not that old. I could remember one line, And they required I do this in 14 seconds. And I have a problem. I like to speak. I was snooping through my daughter's desk the other day and found the funeral plans for my funeral. I'm listed as a keynote speaker. So with further ado, I'm going to introduce David Fish, who's our 2014 honoree. And David, like myself, faced a lot of hardships and struggles to heal the wounds. And we both turned to swords. And by turning the swords turned us around. And we're so ever thankful. So at this time, can I get David Fish to walk up here?
Wow. Good evening. Thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight. And thanks to Swords to Plowshares, Staff Attorney Katie Dwight for nominating me for this honor and making it possible for me to be here. My name is David Fish, and I'm a Gulf War veteran. I served for 7 years on active duty in the U.S. Army. I joined the Army in 1984, 1 year after high school. I took my oath of enlistment because I wanted to make a difference, to travel, and to live a life of action and importance. I became a combat medical specialist and paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne Division. I served my first 4 years as an airborne medic. In that time, the Army became my home and my comrades became my family. Seeking career advancement and education, I applied for and was accepted into the Army nursing program. Upon graduation, I re-enlisted, was promoted to sergeant, and received orders for South Korea. I served for 1 year in Seoul, working in the emergency room and ambulance section of the 121st Evacuation Hospital at Yongsan Army Base. Our motto was, "We save lives," and we did. Once my tour in Korea was over, orders came for Fort Ord, California. A native of the Central Coast, I was happy to be heading to a duty station close to home. This feeling would be short-lived, though, as I was soon deployed to Saudi Arabia to prepare for Operation Desert Shield and Operation Desert Storm. I was assigned to the 8th Evacuation Hospital. Once settled in and all set up, we were a field combat evac hospital placed on the Saudi side of the Iraqi border. Our mission would be to evacuate and treat coalition combat casualties. However, the mechanism of the conflict would soon change our mission. Due to the low number of coalition casualties and the high number of severely wounded Iraqi combatants, we found ourselves treating predominantly enemy casualties. I provided post-op surgical care for wounded Iraqi prisoners. Most were wounded by air attack. Shrapnel, projectile wounds, and amputated limbs became our bread and butter. The Iraqi army had no medical corps. They left their wounded to rot and die in the desert. We saved as many as we could. I cared for and interacted with the enemy from moment to moment. It would be the experience of a lifetime. The sights, sounds, and smells will always be with me. And the people that I served with and those that I treated, they are with me forever. I was dedicated and diligent, taking pride in my ability to care for the wounded, at times struggling with my own natural inclination towards empathy. Having been trained as a paratrooper to eliminate the enemy, I now found myself dressing their wounds, medicating their pain, and occasionally smoking cigarettes and playing chess with them. I would have experiences and learn lessons that would stay with me the rest of my life. My symptoms of depression and PTSD began during my deployment, followed me home, and soon became a part of me. I felt forever changed by the experience. I separated from the Army 6 months after I got back from the war, and I still miss it, and I still struggle with feelings of guilt. My own self-stigma prevented me from seeking help for many years. My pain was very personal to me. I had no desire to share it with others. I did my best to keep it hidden, and I worked as hard as I could to keep helping people. Having left the Army with a marketable skill, I went to work as a licensed nurse in the civilian sector. I married, started a family, and purchased a home. Through all of this, my symptoms worsened and remained untreated. I never felt like I wanted the VA's help, or maybe I didn't think that I deserved it. The VA was for vets, not failed civilians like me. It seems like a lot of soldiers don't become veterans until they've failed at being civilians, even though they've been veterans all along. With time, my symptoms halted my life. I became disillusioned, disoriented, and empty inside. No longer able to leave my house, no longer able to work. 17 years after my discharge from the Army, I had lost everything. Divorced, homeless, and penniless, I could no longer care for my teenage sons, and they returned to their mother full-time. My sister in Pacifica was willing to let me stay in her guest room on the condition that I seek help from the VA. I would have to become a veteran. I made my first contact at the San Francisco downtown VA clinic in early of 2009. I felt hopeless and broken. I was prone to crying spells, I couldn't eat, and I couldn't sleep. I was started on an antidepressant and began to notice my sleep and my mood improve. But I was still fearful about my future, and I lacked hope. I watched and listened to the other vets at the downtown clinic, and they reminded me of my time in the service. They reminded me of my friends that I missed so much. Seeking help in the VA had somehow sparked a creative fire within me. I began journaling, sketching, and painting. I had never painted before, but suddenly found I had a desire to create meaningful art about myself and my friends and my life experience. I began meeting with other veterans in creative art therapy groups at the VA, and real effective treatment for my symptoms began. But I still had other issues in addition to my symptoms that I needed help with. I was helped with housing through the HUD-VASH program. In 6 months, I had an apartment in a safe neighborhood close to Fort Miley and the beach. My sons came back to live with me full-time. Next, I really needed the help of Swords to Plowshares when it came to filing my VA disability claim. Without pro bono attorney Katie Dwight, I wouldn't be standing here with you. She assisted me through the complicated and arduous process of claims, compensation, and pension, an area that no veteran can hope to navigate without legal support. After about 3 years, I was able to again establish financial security for my sons and myself. So thank you, Swords, and thank you, Katie. So I continued to write and make art and make friends. And then Swords popped up again. I was cast in a revolutionary modern dance project with Hope Moore Dance Company that was titled The Unsayable. This project was made possible in part by a grant obtained with the help of Swords to Plowshares. I found that I enjoyed sharing my veteran experience on stage. I was welcomed in the San Francisco dance scene and read my stories at salons and showcases in the Soma neighborhood. I performed a solo project in collaboration with choreographer Hope Moore at the Mission Cultural Center. So yeah, I became a dancer and Swords helped. So these days, I continue to make art that is important to me. I progress in my recovery, and I enjoy the company of my friends. You see, through all of it, I've had the support and guidance of other veterans, and they became my friends. I learned that you shouldn't spend your life trying to forget the unforgettable. That through close, careful examination of our history, only then can we progress towards a hopeful future. You see, I'm hopeful again. But my success story isn't truly a success until I can somehow help others, and I hope that I'm able to help. And in closing, I'd like to again give thanks to all the people and programs that have helped me and my family and that continue to help veterans. Thank you all for being here tonight.